Good morning, everyone. I am so ready to talk about this today, and I hope you all are ready for some preacher girl to be up in this house, because that's what's going to happen. Okay. So, I know I do that a lot. I'm like, okay. But here's the thing. I see so many different people, and patterns make themselves known to me after hundreds, thousands of sessions. And so I have seen a pattern recently that I must share. It is the difference between the clients who come to me. So everybody who does a session with me at some point or another, I got to set this down, is they have epiphanies, right? They're inspired, they have breakthroughs, they see through their wound, they see through their ego, and they get clear. That's my whole gig. And of course, they're the ones doing the work. I'm just here holding space, facilitating, being a clear mirror for them to do that. But what's the difference between the clients who then go home and change their lives and the clients who feel better when they're with me or feel better right after they leave, but then nothing actually changes? So the whole idea of internal change, of epiphany, is so that it translates into external change in our lives. Our epiphanies are really only as good as the actions they inspire. Otherwise, so maybe we feel slightly better on the inside, but true transformation is obvious. True transformation is to our kids, our parents, our closest friends. People will start to go, whoa, this is different. This is really something happening. Something is moving here. So what is the difference? And so I'm going to share that with you. This is just my observation, so you take from this conversation whatever you will. But as always, I'm going to ask that you stay open-minded, that you be willing to look if any part of this rings true for you, okay? Or if you may be doing some of these things that are keeping you stuck. So one of the main differences I see, the first difference I see, is accountability. So it's the difference between the person who's going to say, hey, there's nothing I can do. This is all somebody else. I can't because my husband or my wife won't let me. I can't because my mom doesn't give me what I need. I can't because my boss doesn't appreciate me, right? Basically putting their power outside of themselves. So that's the number one. As soon as someone does that and they're not willing to come into their power with this, their choice, their will, I know that nothing fundamental is going to change in their life. And it's certainly not going to be lasting change. The second thing is courage. Okay, so some people will get stuck on that one. If they get stuck in, kind of like the victim, like the lack of accountability. And as always, and I'll say it again, accountability doesn't mean that you are to blame for your wounds. It means that you're responsible for them. You're responsible for healing them and for taking action that is towards the life you really want. So I have people that they get stuck there. Other people, they're really good at accountability. In fact, I would say most of my clients are good at accountability. I don't usually appeal to people who aren't. So, they're great with that piece of it, but then they get afraid. So then they don't have the courage to implement the changes in their external life. It takes a lot of courage to feel the fear and do it anyway. I think sometimes people think that they have to not be afraid. They have to keep healing and keep working on themselves till they don't feel fear anymore. If that ever happens, that's awesome. I definitely have not gotten to that point. For me, it's more about I'm afraid, I feel anxious, I feel worried, and I'm going to do it anyway. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to leave that shitty job, or to leave that dysfunctional marriage, or to tell your best frenemy that this relationship isn't working for you anymore. It takes a lot of courage to make those deep changes, because when we do, it stirs everything up and we kind of have to let the chips fall where they may. Listen, let's say, for instance, you're married and you lose 100 pounds. That's going to stir stuff up in your marriage. Guaranteed. For better or for worse, that's going to stir some stuff up. So we have to be willing, courageous enough to do that anyway. So courage is the next thing. Okay? So then I have people that are accountable and they're courageous, but they're unwilling to receive support. So the third thing that makes a huge difference between the people that make the changes and the people who don't is a support system and the willingness to receive that support. So what I can feel some of you saying, and what I've had a lot of people say to me is, I don't have a support system. Okay, let's go back to the accountability piece, you guys. It's your job to build your own support system. So if you have parents who are really bad at that, and currently you're surrounded by people that are not good at support, that's up to you to see that and to actually actively seek out a support system. Now I want you to remember that in order for that to be sustainable and in integrity, you also need to be supportive of them. I see a lot of people, in fact, a lot of the people I see who say they don't have a support system, they have this story that I give and I give and I give and I take care of everyone else, but no one takes care of me. I love you guys, and that's not true. It's not true. When someone provides deep value and they're surrounded by people who are capable of supporting, then they receive it back. So if you're giving true deep value in a way that people really need and want, and you're not receiving anything in return, then that is an indication that you have chosen the wrong people to try to play that game with. You know, some people, it's usually not that they don't want to be there for you, but there are people that are so in survival mode and so in crisis and so close to the edge in their own lives that they don't have any room for you and your processes and when you need something. So if that's the case, you got to be willing to see that and accept that and find another type of person to surround yourself with where it can be more reciprocal. Okay? But having a support system and then being willing to receive support is a huge piece of this. Look, none of us do this alone. I don't know one single example of a person that created huge things in this world by themselves. We are here to mirror each other, encourage each other, support, be accountability partners, right? So those three things are something I saw a while ago. Oh, by the way, I probably should have told you this in the beginning. This is a two-parter. Yeah. I gotta find a good title for it. I have the hardest time with the titles, you guys. It's gonna have to be something like the difference between those who make internal changes and those who make external changes, or something along those lines. But I don't know, because the reality is that when we make true, sustainable internal changes, it has to come to the external world. If you say, I've had this huge epiphany of how much I love myself, but then you're still letting your kids treat you abusively, then what's the disconnect there? If you say you love yourself and you truly love yourself, you don't allow yourself to be abused. You love yourself too much for that, right? So what's the disconnect? So I'm going to go over these again, and I hope that you guys can get this by now, and I hope that you can really feel this. This is not me judging you. I have been at every step of these, and I still struggle with the courage piece of it. The accountability piece of it, I'm fairly good at now. The support system, I'm awesome at. I have the best support system. And believe me, it took me making some big changes there. But I have a lot of fears still. So I definitely spend a lot of time trying to muster up courage and then kind of forcing myself to do it anyway. So I get it. Like, this is not me saying, I'm up here, you're wrong because you're down here. I'm just trying to point out the things that I see the difference of this or this. Okay? So, just a quick recap. First one, accountability. Taking full accountability for your life right now. Okay? Second one, courage. Being willing to take those actions, willing to do something out in the real world, even when you don't want to. Okay? You have anxiety, you're worried, you're fearful, but you know that it's healthy and you know that it will get you what you want, so you do it anyway. Okay, I just have to say, you guys, as I'm speaking of the courage one, I'm feeling this one deep. I did a video really close to the beginning of Coffee with Dawni, and I think it was called The Courage to Navigate This Realm. Watch that one again. There are several of you that I feel filled with emotion when I speak of this piece of it. You know you need to leave that job. You know you need to leave that relationship. You know you've got to change your life and you're afraid. Okay? So whatever it takes to muster up that courage to do it anyway, even when you're feeling the fear. Because I swear to you, if we wait till we have no fear, we'll never do a damn thing. And then the support system. And maybe you're someone who's got to build that from scratch. Maybe you're someone who is surrounded by people, only in survival mode, barely can handle their own lives. Again, no judgment, no shame. I've been there, and I bet most of us have been there. But where is the room for other people in that? When someone's purely in survival mode, they may really want to be there for you, but they can't. They can't sustain it. There's not room there. So what are you going to do to build up a new support system where it is reciprocal, where you are giving and they are able to give in return, and then you're willing to receive that? It takes a lot of vulnerability and actually a lot of humility to receive. We want to be the one that's able to give. We don't want to be the one that needs to receive, right? We don't, heaven forbid we ever be needy or feel like a burden or anything. We don't like that. But what we do is we sabotage ourselves and our growth because we try to do it alone, and it doesn't work. I can feel some of you like, girl, testify. I tried it. It doesn't work. It doesn't, does it? So, as antsy as I am to get to part 2, I'm going to leave this one with the homework for those of you who choose to take it on. Where are you out of those 3 things? Where do you struggle the most? Where do you feel yourself stuck? Unfortunately, if it's stuck blaming other people, that one's rough. That one's really rough because it feels so true. It feels so real that you really are being held back by your spouse or your parents or your childhood or, something outside of yourself. So I get that. And, reach out for support. If that's one of yours, reach out for support. Come do a session with me, or go to your therapist or your coach if you see somebody else and ask for support in accountability, because that can be a really rough one. I guess all of them can be when it comes down to it. It's just that I've noticed people are a little more willing to admit they struggle with courage than that they struggle with accountability. But whatever it is, it's not here to be shamed. It's here to shine the light on it so that we can get unstuck, so we can unkink that hose. Okay? Or is it the lack of support system? So just stay in the noticing right now. Look at which one of those you struggle the most with. I'd love to hear you share if you're willing to do that. We have added the ability to comment on these videos on our site. So you can comment there or you can comment on the Facebook page. But I want to hear, which one do you struggle with the most? Where are you stuck? And then we'll come back tomorrow for part 2. I love you guys. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. And if you would be interested in working with me further, you can check out DawniAngel.com. I would love to come speak to your group, come to your business to do a training, be on your podcast, my personal favorite, or even work with you one-on-one.